I have no preamble for the show today. Welcome. I'm Liz Wheeler. This is the Liz Wheeler Show. What do you think we're going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the FBI raiding Trump's home in Florida, raiding Mar-a-Lago on Monday. Why this happened. This is so monumental. This is so insane that we're talking about this, that this happened. But the reason that the FBI leaked to the New York Times about why they conducted this raid doesn't quite match with reality. It doesn't match the sirens that we saw, the sirens that we heard, the flashing lights that we saw in this footage from outside Mar-a-Lago. So I want to talk about, what is this really about? What does this mean for Donald Trump? What does this mean for the FBI? What does this mean for our government? What does this mean for us as citizens of the United States? What does this mean for our constitutional republic? And who exactly is behind this? Because forgive me if I find it very hard to believe that the walking vegetable that occupies the Oval Office constructed the idea for this raid to take out Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump is very likely 99.999% sure to be running against him in 2024. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Let's dig into it. Okay, so first things first, why exactly did the FBI conduct this raid on President Trump's residence in Florida, Mar-a-Lago? Why? What is their justification? We're going to get to that in just a second. But first, I want to talk to you about Cozy Earth sheets. I love Cozy Earth sheets because it has been so hot recently that it's hard to sleep, even if you have air conditioning. In fact, let me ask you a question. How did you sleep last night? If you answered this question, not so great. Or, just okay. Or please don't ask. I'm the third option of those, by the way. Then you are not alone. 1 out of every 3 Americans report being sleep deprived, and your sheets could be part of the problem. That's why I like Cozy Earth sheets. The wrong sheets can trap body heat, leaving you boiling 1 minute and freezing the next. The solution is Cozy Earth sheets. They are the softest, most luxurious, and best temperature regulating sheets on the planet. It's like sleeping on a cloud, which makes sense because they're made from bamboo, which allows Cozy Earth sheets to breathe so that you sleep at the perfect temperature all year round. Cozy Earth even offers a 100-night sleep trial, which means you have up to 100 nights to sleep on it, wash it, try it out. If you're not completely in love, just send it back for a full refund. You can now save 35% on Cozy Earth bamboo bedding. 35%, that's a good deal. Just go to cozyearth.com/Liz35. You have to hurry, this offer ends soon. It's cozyearth.com/Liz35. cozyearth.com/Liz35. Okay. So the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago. They took with them reportedly 15 boxes of documents and materials that they did not look through. They plan to look through them after this raid was conducted, after they took all of this material. And this is what's very interesting. The FBI, via the New York Times, because the FBI are a bunch of leakers who are friends with mainstream media hacks, who are happy to propagate the propaganda of the FBI. Through the New York Times, the FBI says that this raid was part of a National Archives investigation. So what is that? Well, the National Archives investigation would mean that President Trump took classified information with him when he left the Oval Office. We actually already knew that he did this, and it's not really that big of a deal. A lot of presidents do this, and President Trump reportedly actually allowed federal investigators 2 months ago, to come to Mar-a-Lago and look through these documents to see if there was something that they wanted or something that they needed. His attorneys conducted this interview with the federal investigators, and Trump himself actually stopped by to say hi, although reportedly he did not answer any questions. That even CNN is reporting. Even CNN is reporting this. So when the New York Times claims that, this is just standard procedure for a National Archives investigation, that's laughable on 2 fronts. First of all, no, there is no precedent ever of the FBI raiding the personal residence of a former president who is also likely to run for re-election next cycle. That has never happened. And 2, it would not be necessary for someone, even a former president who was cooperating with federal investigators looking for information that they might not want him to have outside of a classified setting, to raid his home. A raid like this is a last resort in any kind of investigation, but in an investigation like this from the National Archives, a raid with sirens and lights flashing, they reportedly broke into his safe. They brought a safe cracker with him, someone who breaks into safes. The safe was empty, but that didn't stop them. This is President Trump's statement. Let me read this. Let me bring this up. This is so bananas that this is happening in our country. This is what Trump said. These are dark times for our nation as my beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, is currently under siege, raided and occupied by a large group of FBI agents. Nothing like this has ever happened to a president of the United States before. After working and cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate. It is prosecutorial misconduct, the weaponization of the justice system, and an attack by radical leftist Democrats who desperately don't want me to run for president in 2024, especially based on recent polls, and who will likewise do anything to stop Republicans and conservatives in the upcoming midterm elections. Such an assault could only take place in broken third world countries. Sadly, America has now become one of those countries, corrupt at a level not seen before. They even broke into my safe. What's the difference between this and Watergate, where operatives broke into the Democrat National Committee? Here, in reverse, Democrats broke into the home of the 45th President of the United States. The political persecution of President Donald J. Trump has been going on for years, with the now fully debunked Russia scam, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and so much more. It just never ends. It's political targeting at the highest level. Hillary Clinton was allowed to delete and acid wash 33,000 emails after they were subpoenaed by Congress. Absolutely nothing happened to hold her accountable. She even took antique furniture and other items from the White House. I stood up to America's bureaucratic corruption, Trump writes. I restored power to the people and truly delivered for our country like we've never seen before. The establishment hated it. Now, as they watch my endorsed candidates win big victories and see my dominance in all the polls, they're trying to stop me and the Republican Party once more. The lawlessness, political persecution, and witch hunt must be exposed and stopped. I will continue to fight for the American people. I don't think that I have ever seen before on Twitter or on cable news or in any of the furious text messages that I've gotten from almost everyone that I know in politics tonight, the level of fury that I'm seeing in response to this. The phrase banana republic has been used so much in politics that it's belittled in a sense. There's a lot of uses of that phrase that make it sound like the boy who cried wolf, but this is actually banana republic stuff. For the FBI to be weaponized against a former president, not just because he's the former president, but because he is, I'm sure, going to run for president in 2024, whether he announces tomorrow or whether he announces after the midterms. Of course, he's going to run for president in 2024. Biden is historically unpopular. Inflation is at 9.1%. There's violence all over our country. And so what do the Democrats do? They use the power of the FBI to do what they used the power of the FBI to try to do in 2016, to target their political opponent, to weaponize the power of the federal government against someone who's a threat to their political agenda. That happens in third world countries. Trump is right. That happens at the hands of dictators. That's not supposed to happen in a nation of law and order, a constitutional republic, a nation based on the rule of law. The FBI already looked at those documents. They had access to those documents, which means that the National Archives investigation, that's the reasoning the FBI tells the New York Times, that line was utterly bullshit, which we already knew. The White House also claims that senior White House officials found out about this raid on Mar-a-Lago on Twitter. They had no prior notice, according, again, conveniently to the New York Times. And I don't understand what this is supposed to mean. Either the deep state at the FBI, if the White House truly had no knowledge of this, we'll get to whether that's true in a second. If the White House truly had no prior knowledge of this, either the deep state at the FBI is so out of control that President Vegetable has no control over them targeting Trump and conservatives, which is terrifying, or the White House knew about this and is lying. I find it very, very hard to believe that nobody in the White House, not Joe Biden, not Kamala Harris, not Ron Klain, knew that the FBI was about to stage a raid on President Trump's residence. And if the White House had no prior knowledge of this, then who is making these decisions? Who is behind this? Who signed off on this? Well, the obvious answer to this would be the FBI director and the head of the Department of Justice, the Attorney General. Who are these men? Christopher Wray is head of the FBI, and he was appointed by Trump, and he's been an abysmal disappointment. He is part of the swamp. He is a swamp creature. Merrick Garland is Attorney General at the Department of Justice. So riddle me this. Merrick Garland would have had the final say on whether the FBI staged this raid on the same man who stopped Merrick Garland from being on the Supreme Court of the United States. Because Merrick Garland had been nominated for the Supreme Court by Barack Obama. Trump took office. Trump rescinded that nomination, destroying Merrick Garland's chance of that lifetime appointment on the highest court in our land. Are you telling me that's not just a little itsy bitsy conflict of interest there? That there's not a little bit of personal animosity? A little bit of, yeah, let's go ahead and use the FBI. Let's weaponize the federal government to go after this guy who ruined my career goals, ruined my ascent to power. The way that the Department of Justice has been weaponized against not just Trump, against all of us, anybody who dissents from the radical leftist agenda, maybe this shouldn't surprise us. President Trump is definitely running in 2024. The people who are trying to talk him out of it, or the people who are talking about reasons that he shouldn't run, are missing the point. Trump is running. It's just a matter of whether he's going to declare tomorrow, which it wouldn't surprise me if he does, or whether he's going to declare that he's running. He's going to enter the race after the midterm elections. The midterm elections, Republicans are going to win in a landslide. We're going to win the House and we're going to win the Senate, and we're going to win them both by a lot. It's going to stymie Biden's agenda for the next 2 years. And Democrats are terrified. They're terrified of President Trump because everything President Trump said in his first term, predicted about Joe Biden, has come true. Joe Biden has led us into a recession that he claims isn't a recession. You're not hurting. You're doing great. You're prosperous. As inflation is making your paycheck shrink. He just passed this watered down Build Back Better, which is actually going to increase inflation until 2024, hurt you more, as he claims he's saving the planet. I think that whatever the Democrats thought this raid on President Trump would accomplish, it's going to backfire. You will never see a more galvanized Republican electorate. You will never see a more motivated conservative movement. You will never see a more unified Republican Party than the Republican Party that will stand behind Trump as the FBI tries once again to prevent him from being president. These people are trying to subvert our nation from within. It's happening right in front of our faces. Every time, it's becoming more audacious, more blatant. They don't even try to hide it anymore. If this can happen to Trump, it can happen to us. It will happen to us. The biggest difference is that when it happens to us, nobody's going to see. Because President Trump, who's more famous than President Trump? Who has a bigger platform than President Trump? Ironic for someone who's been deplatformed by big tech. Who has more influence than President Trump? Who has a larger network of powerful people than President Trump? No one. Kind of makes you think about those 87,000 additional IRS agents that the Biden administration and every single Democrat in the House and the Senate voted for, who are supposed to come after us, these enforcement agents, supposed to squeeze us for every penny that they possibly can. This is, by the way, just a continuation of what you guys, we talk about this all the time, this weaponization of the federal government. First, it was the Department of Homeland Security calling parents who don't want critical race theory, calling us terrorists. The Department of Education telling us that we can't send our children to schools where girls use a girls' locker room and a girls' bathroom, boys use a boys' locker room and a boys' bathroom. OSHA telling business owners that they have to force a vaccine mandate on their employees, and employees, you have to get this medical procedure you don't want, otherwise you're going to be fired. The FBI going after President Trump in 2016, the Department of Justice complicit in that. These are federal agencies that have been weaponized by the radical left. This is just their next step. This is just their next step. And the reaction of some people to this news tonight blows my mind. It's like they've had their head under a rock for the past 5-6 years in our nation. Now, I like Bambi because I understand how difficult HR can be for small business owners. So let me ask you this question, guys. Small business owners, have you had an issue with employee attendance? Have you had an employee altercation in the workplace? Well, the bad news is that one complaint against your company can turn your whole world upside down. The good news is Bambi is here to help small business owners implement good HR practices. Bambi is an HR platform built for businesses just like yours, so you can automate the most important HR practices and get your own dedicated HR manager. First, Bambi's HR Autopilot automates your core policies like workplace training and employee feedback. Then your dedicated HR manager will help you navigate the more complex parts of HR and guide you to compliance. They're available by phone, email, or real-time chat. As you know, an in-house HR manager can cost up to $80,000 a year, but with Bambi, your dedicated HR manager starts at just $99 a month. No hidden fees, you can cancel anytime. You run your business, let Bambi run your HR. Go to Bambi.com/Liz right now for your free HR audit. It's spelled BAMBEE.com/Liz. Bambi.com/Liz. The response from some people, I guess I expected this response from the left, but it really is disheartening to see that people who don't like Trump really have, I mean, Trump derangement syndrome is real. They really have lost every semblance of logic or impartiality or sense. I mean, they're insensible. They've lost every aspect of being a normal person that they ever had because of their hatred of Donald Trump. This is what a former Paul Ryan, former John Boehner staffer. So this is even people on the right. I'm not just talking about radical leftists here. I'm talking about these insane never Trumpers. Brendan Buck is his name, and he said, "Is it fair to assume you don't raid the home of a former president unless you've met some pretty high bar?" Are you joking? Have you lived in our country the last 5 years? What about the FBI and the Department of Justice colluding with the Hillary Clinton campaign to use a fabricated document created by Christopher Steele, a foreign spy, using Russian propaganda to try to unseat a duly elected president? This was all the FBI. They lied on FISA court warrants so that they could spy on the incoming Trump administration and everyone around him. They've ruined people's lives. All of this was debunked. It turned out to be false. Special counsel Robert Mueller spent tens of millions of dollars, years investigating this and found literally nothing. That was the FBI. Why would you give the benefit of the doubt to an organization like this? Why would you give the benefit of the doubt to an organization? We just talked last week on the show about the FBI's training document on how to recognize militia violent extremists. And one of the symbols that the FBI used in this training document was the "Don't Tread on Me" flag and the Betsy Ross flag. And if you're a supporter of the Second Amendment, this organization you give the benefit of the doubt to, you assume that they're operating inside the law, that they must have an awfully high bar before they stage something like this. Are you stupid? Don't you wonder what kind of dossier justified this? So what is their real motive? What's behind this? It's not a National Archives investigation. They don't care about the classified documents. If they did, they wouldn't have waited, 18 months that President Biden has been in office since President Trump took those documents to Mar-a-Lago. President Trump's been cooperating. If he wasn't, all it would have taken is one public line like, President Trump was not cooperating, therefore we had to come in and take the documents. Nope, nothing like that. So what is their real motive? This is, of course, a fishing expedition. They're taking these documents because they have a preconceived plan in place and they are looking for justification to move that plan forward. What is their preconceived plan? Their preconceived plan involves a perp walk of President Trump in as humiliating of a posture as they can possibly create. They plan to handcuff him, arrest him, charge him, convict him, put him in prison to prevent him from running in 2024. This is what the Democrats have been teeing up since January 6th. They have been trying for over a year and a half to tie President Trump to the few violent rioters on January 6th. They said that he encouraged them. He did not. They said he was connected to them. He wasn't. They said he refused to condemn the violence. He did condemn the violence. They have made up narrative after narrative after narrative, trying to fit in their preconceived plot, and they have failed over and over again. And now this is what they have to do. It's a fishing expedition. They are looking for quote unquote proof that President Trump was involved in seditious conspiracy. Well, he wasn't, because he didn't direct the violence. The evidence for Trump participating in seditious conspiracy, it simply doesn't exist. They're looking for evidence that he was trying to create fake electors to challenge the electors in the states where the election integrity was corrupted. You're actually allowed to send 2 batches of electors if the state legislatures in those states do contest the outcome of the election. You're allowed to do that. And either way, it didn't actually happen. There weren't 2 batches of electors from any state sent on January 6th. So it's a moot point. It doesn't exist. They're trying to look for proof that he did something criminal to pressure Mike Pence on January 6th. Is tweeting illegal? They will charge him. This is what they've been gearing up for. This is what Liz Cheney has been doing on the January 6th committee. This is what Dick Cheney actually admitted in his campaign ad for his daughter. I don't know if you saw this. He said, the most important thing my daughter Liz will ever do is prevent Donald Trump from ever getting near the Oval Office again. He just admitted what they're trying to do. They're not trying to investigate what happened on January 6th. They're not trying to hold people who broke the law accountable. They're not trying to figure out why Nancy Pelosi and Mayor Bowser turned down police, why the Capitol wasn't secure in the first place. They're not looking to see why police officers opened the door for these protesters. They're not looking for who moved the barrier. They're not looking for the truth. They're looking for anything that they can that might tie Trump to the violence. In 18 months in the full force of the federal government, they've been able to find nothing. And so this is what they want. This is what they want. If they arrest Trump, though, we could very well see a civil war in our nation. I'm not predicting this. I don't want this to happen. I do not want this to happen. But they want this to happen. That's what the left wants. They want to create the insurrection that they haven't been able to create since January 6th, from January 6th. Because if they couldn't find a way to tie Trump to their so-called insurrection the first time, then they want to create an insurrection for a second time, and they can tie Trump to that. Just like they tried impeachment number 1 and impeachment number 2. This is a scary time for our nation. I have never seen the anger and the hopelessness that I see in people reacting to this raid. The American people have lost confidence that we can simply go to the ballot box and cast our vote and get rid of corrupt politicians who allow FBI agents to target political opponents like President Trump. People don't think that you could just channel that energy into making sure there's a red wave and taking back Congress and then taking back the presidency, because they believe that the Democrats have rigged the system. They believe the Democrats cheat in elections. And so they feel this hopelessness about what do you actually do to stop this? Today is different than all the other things the Democrats have tried to do. We have to understand who we are fighting against in this nation, who we are up against in this nation, if we are actually going to defeat them politically. Now, I like Incogni because now more than ever, I do not want anyone tracking my online activity, because it's none of the government's business what I do to research this show. And I don't trust woke corporations not to abuse my data. 2 things that are really important to me online are my safety and my family's privacy. That's why I like Incogni. Thousands of companies collect, aggregate, and trade your personal data without you knowing anything about it. And the best news is Incogni can do the messy work for you automatically. Incogni helps you protect your privacy and take your personal data off the market by reaching out to data brokers on your behalf, requesting your personal data removal, and dealing with their objections. Now, most often these data brokers hold your name, your email address, your home address, yes, your phone number, the names of your relatives, your social security number, your employment history, your shopping habits. You need Incogni. I love it. I know you will too. The first 100 people to use my URL, it's incogni.com/Liz Wheeler, and use promo code Liz Wheeler, get 20% off Incogni. Protect your privacy today. Go to incogni.com/Liz Wheeler and use promo code Liz Wheeler to take your personal data off the market. Today's video is sponsored by Incogni. So if we don't understand that communists are trying to subvert our nation from within, then we will not be able to defeat them. We talk about this all the time, you guys. We talk about how so many in the Republican Party think that we are just up against Democrats who are dumb, Democrats who maybe even are well-intentioned and compassionate, but have unwise, unpractical policies. No. If we don't understand that we are facing communists who are trying to subvert our nation from within, then we will not be able to defeat them. We can see the pattern of behavior that's led to the point where the FBI raided President Trump. We saw how the FBI staged these show arrests. First, it was Roger Stone. They didn't have to raid his home to arrest him. That way, they could have just asked him to turn himself in. We saw how they arrested Peter Navarro in the airport, put him in handcuffs and then in leg irons. They didn't have to do that. Standard procedure there was to ask his attorney to ask him to turn himself in, which he would have done. We saw it with Project Veritas. They had not the Hunter Biden diary, the Biden daughter diary. But what did they do? What did the FBI do? They raided Project Veritas, raided the homes of these journalists. They want Trump imprisoned. I tweeted tonight, we should abolish the FBI. There's simply no question about this. The FBI is corrupted to its very core. And one of the ways that you can tell is because you might think that in the wake of such a weaponization of this agency, in the wake of this abuse, that there would be all the good men and women who serve in the FBI that are just resigning en masse because they can't work for an organization this corrupt. So where are these people? Where are these resignations? Yeah, there aren't any. Where are these good people? The FBI, this agency is corrupt to its core. There's a bunch of blue check marks, by the way, on Twitter who are trying to ratio this tweet where I say abolish the FBI. And they're trying to equate this with the defund the police movement, saying, oh, look at this, cell phone, conservative. What about back the blue? Don't you see that you're saying what we've been saying all along? And no, not at all. These people who are trying to claim that me saying that we should abolish the FBI because the FBI is engaging in banana republic targeting of political opponents, that is the same thing as radical leftists wanting to defund community policing based on Marxist Black Lives Matter lies about police-involved shootings. These people are the same people that tell you that a man can be a woman if he wants to be, and a woman can be a man if she wants to be. Reality is not their strong suit. But it is really good to know that they do not care at all if the full power of the federal government is weaponized against conservatives based solely on the fact that conservatives have different political views than Joe Biden. Really good to know. Let's talk for a second about who has not been raided and arrested by the FBI. The pedophiles associated with Jeffrey Epstein, particularly those in the government, our government, who knew about this and tried to hide it, and to this day cover up the black book of Jeffrey Epstein's that listed who he knew and who his cronies were, but somehow we the people can't see this. Those people have yet to be arrested or raided by the FBI. Hillary Clinton used bleach bit and a hammer to destroy her phone and her server that she kept in a closet of her New York apartment, classified information that our enemies would love to get their hands on. 30,000 emails. Never raided by the FBI. Never. Not arrested? Nope. Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden sold access to his father as vice president. Joe Biden lied about knowing Hunter Biden's business, his business connections. Hunter Biden made money from Ukraine. He made money from China. He has put the national security of our country at risk more than any other member of any other political family, probably in modern political history, modern American political history. This guy is bad news. And it's not because he smokes crack. It's not because he videos himself in those weird sensory deprivation eggs playing with his own genitals. Yes, that makes him a gross creep. That's not why he's a national security risk. He's a national security risk because he's corrupt. And he's cashed in on his family's name. He's used his father's position of power to let corrupt, bad, hostile nations and individuals who represent those nations get near the White House. But he's not under investigation by the FBI. He hasn't been raided by the FBI. He hasn't been arrested. No. What about Eric Swalwell? He had sex with a Chinese spy. Did he have documents that were seized by the FBI? Nope. Was he arrested? No. If it's not clear to us at this point that this is different, this is monumental. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, please go to Apple Podcasts and click subscribe on YouTube. Go to Liz Wheeler Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you're notified every time we have content. These are the details we know tonight. More details are going to unfold, and we are going to follow along every single detail as it drops. Stay with us for that. Thank you for watching tonight. Thank you for listening. I'm Liz Wheeler. This is The Liz Wheeler Show. If you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button below, and ring the bell to make sure you never miss a video.